It's time for a therapy appointment. I am so sore from moving and everything. And I'm going to cover up the light with this blanket, with this pillow thing. My knee hurts so bad. Ouch. My therapist offered me a third session this week because my session yesterday didn't really happen on time at all because I had movers in the middle and I had a time limit and I was stressing and I was doing it from my car and my kids were in there, and I think I only met with my therapist for like a half an hour, and so he offered me another session. So this is technically a real session where yesterday wasn't. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm so sore.
Or
I've been working so hard today. Yeah, I'm really.
where are you at?
I'm in Jim's room right now.
The house? Okay.
Yeah, because it has internet. I don't have internet yet at the apartment.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I just got to get this place looking nice so when he comes back, he's not shocked with how destructive it looks, like a tornado went through, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my respectful way of saying goodbye without leaving it in a mess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I've been working here all day, and I just went to the apartment a little while ago and dropped off some things, emptied my car, and now I'm filling it up again. And because I ran out of boxes, so there's a lot of odds and ends,
Yeah.
I don't want him to think that he's holding my junk for me, or do something with my junk. Like he threatened to set it on fire the other day. So,
Right. Right.
um,
When is he getting out?
after last night, my mom doesn't think they'll let him out very easily at all.
Do you think he was agitated last night at the facility?
Oh yeah,
Could have-
yeah. Because I think I talked to him last night, right before my session with you,
Yes.
and he had to wait to call me again because they turned off the phones for group therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than going to group therapy, he called me and he wanted to know more details. And I wasn't comfortable telling him everything, especially with that attitude and his state of mind and all that. But I just ripped off the Band-Aid and told him I'm not going to be here. And he wanted to know where I was going. I said I'm moving into an apartment. And he started getting really angry, like, I thought you said you couldn't afford it. And I go, I can't. That's how bad this is. That's how bad our lives have become, is that I'm not able to afford it, but I gotta go anyway. I can't keep trading my freedoms and my dignity and my happiness in for free rent.
Yeah.
Other
That's
people,
true.
everybody else makes it. Why can't I? Why can't I work hard and figure it out and lean on others besides my husband and his parents all the time,
Yeah. You can and you will.
Yeah.
Okay. So I let his therapist know because he missed his appointment last night,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
So I just let her know that he was at Aurora right now.
Did you tell her last night when he missed it?
No, I
Oh.
told her today. I just sent her a text and just gave her a heads up. And she said, yeah, he missed his appointment last night. I was wondering what happened.
Yeah, and I thought about calling her. I thought about calling a psychiatrist today. I thought about doing things for him that a wife might do, but it's really not my place right now. He needs to take care of
Yeah,
him.
yeah. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you miss an appointment like that. that happens. I mean, people miss appointments.
Right.
There's a reason. There's a reason for it. So.
Well, I guess my intention was so that he could talk to her another way, if there was a way that he could talk to her while he's there, or if the psychiatrist needs to talk to him about last night, you know.
Yeah.
But
we'll have a new psychiatrist in there.
Right. So I figured it's just up to him, though, to reach out to people in his care team in there to get him what he needs, not up to me to determine what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So how are the kids doing?
Last night, Matthew was pretty agitated by the end of the night. He was tired and hurting and just wanted to go home and, snapping at everybody and just kind of being a little jerk. But understandably, I basically took away his whole evening by he not having any free time to himself, and now it's bedtime kind of thing, right? I ordered pizza, so we ate pizza at my new place with no drinks and no plates and nothing, And he liked that, and every time he tried being in the victim mind frame, I just kept reminding him that we're making these decisions as the three of us, and I'm not in charge here as much as he thinks I am. Like, I'm not dragging him. He's a participant in how we're doing this. I keep involving him. And I told him, because they got out of school early today, I said, tomorrow you get to have, last night I said this, I said, tomorrow you get out of school early and you have a choice if you want to help some more, or if you want your free time, go for it. You guys have done a lot. You've helped me a lot today. I appreciate it. And so he took that upon himself when he got in today. Remember what you said last night, Mom? I'm like, I remember. Go enjoy your time, And then my daughter, she chose to go ride her bike after helping for a little bit, which I thought was kind, and I said, thank you. Yeah, she's like, can I ride my bike? And I go, yeah, do you want to wait a few minutes or do you want to go right now? I could use your help for the next 20 minutes or so. And she's like, I want to go now. And I'm like, okay, go now. Like, if I don't give them some sort of respect like that, then I'm not going to get it in return,
Yeah, you're right. And the more choices that you give them, the more they'll feel like they're in control. Even if it's the illusion of the choices, right?
Right. And it's not so much like I'm trying to be their best friend or trying to win them over or something like that, but in essence, as a kid, it already sucks when everyone's telling you what to do all the time.
Right.
And then when you're expected to deal with hard stuff, a few of the things that you can have choice in really does help alleviate all that extra burden of what does suck. And so that's what I remembered as a kid. I remember saying, when I become a mom, when someone tells me to do something, I'm going to tell them why. Because I'm so tired of everyone telling me what to do and they never tell me why. I just want to know why. I don't want to argue with anybody. I don't want to question anybody. But why can't adults just give that information, Because I said so. That just always irked me as a kid. And so that's something that's always stuck with me. So I would, when I tell the kids, hey, I'm really hurting right now. Do you think you can help me with this, this, and this? And then you can go back to doing what you're doing. Or when you get a second, can you please? It's not, my dad was so demanding. Like, he wanted things now. When he snapped his fingers, you better run to it, hop to it.
Yeah, that's one thing I counsel parents of kids. Like, I have children clients. Like, I've got a client that's 5. And one thing I always tell the parents is give them choices, because when they go through adjustment periods, especially, separation or divorce or being home, online schooling, those are big adjustments, and kids start to feel like everything is decided for them, like you just said. And so what I'll say is give them a choice between 2 things, for lunch or for breakfast. Give them a choice between 2 outfits. You can wear this or you can wear this. So at least makes them feel like they have some say in what's going on.
Right.
Important for kids.
Because,
enough about therapy to know that when kids get to be teenagers and they start cutting or they have eating disorders, that's all about control. them taking control over the only thing they know how to control.
Right. And if
And
you can give it to them earlier, then they
yeah,
don't feel like their whole lives are
yeah, you
decided for
avoid a
them.
lot of that
Hmm.
stuff. Absolutely.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So good, good. Well, so it sounds like you're moving forward.
Yeah, it's just been real emotional today. It started off with just being really sorrowful and grieving, and I'd listen to songs that would remind me of him and our pain, his pain, my pain. Um, Songs that validated why I'm leaving, songs that validated why I should stay. Like just a whole roller coaster of emotions, which I just felt each moment as they came up rather than allowing myself to feel confused. I just said,
Right,
it's going to feel like a roller coaster, but we're still moving forward. Just keep
right.
moving, just keep moving. And then when I needed to rest, I rested. When I needed to sat down. When I needed a drink, I got a drink. And I didn't pressure myself to do too much or get mad at myself when I needed a break. And
Yeah. And that's a good way to look at it, Crystal, because emotions are neither good or bad. They just are.
mm-hmm,
And and part of the problem we run into sometimes is we start making decisions based on emotions. And emotions come and go, they fluctuate back and forth. They can be positive, they can be negative. And so sitting with those emotions and just accepting them for what they are, just emotions, right? But when you make decisions, basing your decisions on evidence and logic and reason, um, and taking the way you feel into account, but not allowing your emotions only to control all those choices.
well, and I think even that sentence kind of is nuanced even further because every time I thought about leaving before, the logical choice was to stay where the rent is free, where my
Mm-hmm.
children are, where the bills can be shared and not have two households that are struggling as single parents. Like logically, it doesn't make sense for me to leave. And everyone's going to question me on that, whether it be Jim and his parents or people that don't support what I'm doing. And I think that's why I've spent so long at building my community up because if I hadn't have built my community up, I would hear the naysayers and it would make me feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. So I had to lead with emotion on this because my emotions is what's in jeopardy right now. I'm in emotional danger every day living here. So logically, I need to get to emotional safety.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, and the other side of it is you know, like we talked about before, the long-term solution is what you're kind of going for right now.
Right. I had to make all
Uh,
these steps while he's gone so I can get to that
yeah, yeah,
peace in the future.
right. And we don't know, and you don't know, how all this will play out in the future. Um, but you're taking your time. That's much needed. And what'll be interesting for you is if you can get with down the road in the next few weeks to a place where you feel, because there's this this is going to be there is going to be some stress involved with once he gets out, and the communication, and the pull of the addiction of wanting to make everything okay again, and you're going to deal with some of that, right? And going in that it's not going to be a breeze, right? But once you get to a point where you start to feel secure where you're at and comfortable where you're at alone, it'll be very interesting to see how well you start progressing, um, on your own emotionally,
Yeah, I can't even wrap
without
my head around
without
that.
that other factor.
Right. Like I can't I'm trying to like visualize what that all looks like and it's not even a thought in my head right now. It feels like someone's telling me a make-believe story just thinking about it. So, if I had to compare it to noodles, I really feel like I just had to put my worker bee hat on and just get it done.
Hmm.
And then the emotions that are coming up for me about leaving is what's really the forefront of everything. It's
Yeah.
not so much about being alone, and it's not so much about my friend said we should have a girls night when you get settled in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do that. Like that, my mind just, I had a my mind was blown. And my mom was like, yeah, and I can come over. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I don't have to worry about Jim being upset with mom coming over all the time. My mom can come over whenever.
You can take the kids to the pool when it
i
gets warm out.
I
You can
know,
play
that's just,
gym if you want to. You can do normal things that you should have been able to do for years.
yeah, I should have been able to do those things for years. Did you say I could invite Jim if I wanted to?
No,
Oh.
I said you can take the kids to the pool when it gets warmer. Oh, you could join a gym, is what I
Oh,
said.
join a gym. Yeah, I could join a gym. Yeah, I think they might have a gym at the apartment place. Um, because I don't want to pay another monthly thing. But
Do they have a pool there?
yep, yep. They said they had a couple of pools, but they keep only one open during this time of the year. Before
Yeah.
it got warm, and mainly because of COVID, um,
Right.
limiting. I don't know why they limit. Anyway,
But yeah, they closed public pools for a while. I remember that.
yeah, I'm trying to remember what's exciting about all this, but what was really the most hardest is reiterating to myself why I'm doing it, because
Hmm.
all these doubts keep flooding in, and these hesitations and logic stuff, like, Crystal, like all the crap I'm taking to my new place, my brand new place. I don't know if I told you, it's like
You told me it was
it's renovated, yeah.
right?
So everything in there is brand new, and I'm taking all my dusty, dirty, old crap in there, but I don't want to leave any of my junk here for him to have to deal with or feel like I'm burdening him with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you gotta. I think telling yourself you're doing this because you can, right? Because you have every right to.
Right.
Because you're worth it. Because you're valuable.
I deserve it.
Because you deserve it. There doesn't have to be any reason beyond that.
Right.
Okay. And I think if you look for this big, huge revelation of a reason, that you could run into questioning yourself. But I
Yeah.
think it's just as simple as you deserve to be able to be treated with respect and to be able to be free and to be able to explore your interests and your desires. Um, you deserve that.
Hmm.
That's the bottom line. And I think, you know, part of what you might struggle with is, do you believe you deserve that?
I do.
Right?
I do believe I deserve it. I think
But
what holds me back is worried about what other people believe I deserve.
who cares?
I know.
And that's kind of, and I know that sounds crass, but that's the point you want to get to is it doesn't matter what other people think.
So
It's just your life.
if I get attacked verbally by his parents or him or anybody, I don't think anybody else but him or his parents would really be upset with me. But what is something I could reiterate out loud, kindly but affirmatively, that this is what I need to do for me? Like when my friend came over, she was helping me today, and she's known me for a long time, and we're in my new place, and she's just astonished with what I've done, and she's so proud of me and everything. And I said, I did it, Carrie. I finally am adulting. I'm doing it by myself. And I'm actually making some big girl decisions for the first time in my life. I've always lived with somebody.
Hmm.
I've always made decisions based on whoever I'm living with, what they want to do. And she was
Yeah.
just proud of me. And I guess that's where I'm getting back to what you said. I deserve this. I deserve to grow up. But I don't know if that's a crass way of saying it to his parents or whatnot.
Well, with his parents, and going into it, it sounds like that they are gonna be critical of this,
Yeah,
and that helps just to know what to expect going into it. But I think what you tell yourself is this is not about them. This is about me. And of course, they're going to have that attitude. It's their son,
right.
right? But this is about you, and I mean, you know enough to know that this, as hard as this is for him, in the long run, this will help him.
Right.
And
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 that
so it's
that
not like you're disregarding him completely.
right. And I'm not disregarding him at all in my opinion. The way I'm doing it, I feel like it's such a soft
Yeah,
break.
right.
Like if you had to if I guess an analogy would be if you had to try to crack open an egg with as little damage as possible, you could probably just crack it just a little and keep most of it intact
Hmm.
if you needed to, right?
Yeah.
Because you can be delicate about it. You could be very soft about it and not have to just be. And that's not where my heart is at. My heart isn't angry. My heart isn't mad. It's not bitter and resentful. I don't feel despair and hopelessness. The tears that I'm crying, they say, people are telling me, I'm seeing these tears, but they're not like your other tears. These are tears of a new crystal. And I'm like, yeah, these are tears of sorrow and grief. And I'm processing what I'm losing here, because there's a lot of great things about this guy. And if he doesn't accept his challenge to improve and grow, then it is a goodbye forever. And that is a possibility. He may not want me back because there's too many trust issues that
Yeah.
go too far back.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Right.
You don't know, but you don't have to know that right
Right.
now.
Right. I just need to get out. Right.
Yeah, with his parents, you don't really have to tell them anything, except for this. This is what we need for both of us to grow, and you know that's the bottom line. It's really there's not much you can say to them.
I know their
Because
biggest thing.
you're not going to be able to convince them through words, like to where they're going to be like, "Oh, I get it. Oh, yeah, it's perfectly fine." They're not going to do that.
No, and I don't think I want to convince them. I guess I just want to know what to affirmatively say to kind of just cut the
Yeah,
conversation off and not get any more backlash. Because their number one thing over the years, whenever they've talked about divorce, whether it be, you know, Jim's ex-wife divorcing or anybody else that chooses divorce, they've always mentioned the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids. And I've had a lot of heart-to-hearts with my mother-in-law about my own trauma with my mom getting divorced and the kids and what happened to me and all that stuff. And I affirmatively told her I've never wanted that for my kids. I'm in it forever. It's how I felt, and that's what I've seriously committed myself to. So
yeah,
I know what's coming as far as who am I doing this for. So when I see the kids smiling, I don't know if I told you how happy they are about this. Don't they
yeah.
seem like they're excited about the future and they're like well adjusted in a lot of ways? Like they see hope for their parents, you know?
They do. They do. I can tell that they do. And I had never really seen them before, but it can't be easy.
Right.
Uh, and I've always believed and wanted to believe that staying together for the kids is not a solution. Staying together to keep the kids in one home is not a solution because the kids can have a much better relationship with each of you individually than they can together.
Especially when the parents living together are not able to keep up pretenses anymore.
Right.
Like the four of us used to be able to have fights behind closed doors and still go out and do things as a family. But in the
Right.
last couple of years, my head has been out of it, my heart's been out of it, and not because I wanted it to be, but because I'm so depressed and worried and anxious about the next mess up, and he's so anxious and worried about my next mess up that he couldn't respect my space or give me that freedom to have choices in the marriage. And,
Right.
if he was here, he'd be arguing with me all kinds because I could hear him now in my head. He thinks that he gives me choices all the time, and I'm all, that's the problem right there. You shouldn't need to give me choices or give
Right.
me things that let me appear that I have choices. Like, I'm not a kid.
Yeah, and I know how that goes. Is there are choices, but you know good and well which choice you're expected to make.
Right.
And if you don't, that's the covert narcissism. If you don't make the choice you know he wants you to make, you pay the price for that.
Right. And then,
The
like,
ignorance of choice is, it's kind of like what you said. Oh, she can go do that if she wants, but I have a right to be angry.
right.
It's like he's letting you know, yeah, you can do it,
Just,
but you're going to pay a price for it.
right. And then, like, when I do make small decisions, and he's like, well, she makes decisions all the time, is how he always puts it, right? And I'm like, yeah, I make those decisions because I know those are safe.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I get to go to the grocery store because the tracker app is on and I'm not going to take too long, and I make sure I don't take too long, and I make sure that I buy the things that he thinks I should buy, and if I don't buy the things he thinks I should buy, I'm going to hear it when I get home, and he's going to see how much I saved. And it's not been hell because I changed my mind to fit it.
Right. Oh,
it
I know exactly. I get it 100%. And I know that's a huge battle that you've gone through in your mind, and that's enough to make anybody question, who they really are. And I think that was part of the problem that you were dealing with, is you get to a point where you don't even know who you are anymore.
exactly, I didn't know. And
And
when
that's
I
the point now, is now you can find out who you are,
right.
and you can be proud of who you are, right? And that's the key, is being okay with who you are, not trying to be something for somebody else, or not worried about presenting yourself as a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
or wearing a mask, or and that's the point you got to get to, is not caring what other people think, not living your life for the way you feel like other people want you to. This is a time to explore your own dreams and goals and desires, and do what you want to do. And it doesn't matter what other people think or what other people say.
Yeah, and that's where I need to remember that, because, like, even with the stranger friends that left, right?
Hmm.
It's been really weird that they left when they left and they were there when they were there, because I take it like they were there for a reason, or, to give me that push that I needed. If it wasn't for them leaving, I don't think I would have been pushed as hard as I was.
Yeah.
And now they're being so finicky, controlling, demanding, toxic friends that I don't even want to be friends with them. And it makes me go, I don't care what they think. I don't care to tell them that I moved out. I don't care to tell them all the progress that I've made. They've been fighting for me, and they dropped me because I wasn't getting out quick as they think I should. And it's like, who the heck are you? You're not living my life, and I don't care what you think or what you think I should be doing. I thought you loved and understood me and supported me the way where I was at. You don't need to be. So, recognizing that those are just strangers that were friends for a hot minute. And then I've got people in my family who, my grandpa, he thinks that my marriage fell apart because I was talking about my money versus Jim's money. And he goes, well, that's your problem right there. You guys split monies. If you would have stayed home, Crystal, but you wanted to work. And I'm like, no, I tried staying home, but my
That's old school. That's
yeah,
old school thinking.
exactly, because it's old school thinking. I respect that, and he has a pass for that. But I did try to stay home, and my husband didn't want me to.
Yeah.
So I wasn't about to be argumentative with my grandpa, but I made sure to let him know, Grandpa, he didn't let me stay home, and I did share my money up until recently when he demanded to split it, and he demanded that we have separate money because he didn't want me to do what his ex did and save money to leave.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, I think, moving forward, this is really where this. Remember when we talked about like the idea of your core values, like the Constitution thing we talked about? Well, originally we talked about that because for you, you know, in the chaos of what you were dealing with, you would question things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't remember feeling this way, or I know I was so adamant about this the other day, but now I don't feel the same way. And that's kind of that part of that, like losing yourself in the whole chaos of what was going on. And so that Constitution was kind of like your guiding light, like that you knew would always be there. You could always refer back to it and know it's true.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I deserve. This is what, um, this is what I believe about myself. I deserve to be respected. I deserve to be treated, with love. I deserve to be secure. All those types of things. I think now, in the position you're in now, and moving forward, that Constitution can be used in to build up confidence in who you are, and to not feel like you have to change yourself for other people.
Right.
Right. It's like your standards. What are you? You hear of standards like, oh, this person has high standards, or this person doesn't have any standards.
A few moments later.
Yeah.
Another thing, my mom said, she was really really real and apologetic to me. She realized, it dawned on her. She said, Crystal, I now know why I left 5 husbands and you stayed with Jim as long as you did. And I'm like, yeah, I thought it was, because I didn't want to do what she did, blah, blah, blah. But she said, your dad trained you for this. She said that she left my dad because of all the things that he was doing to her and all the things that he was just terrible about. But I was a kid watching him fall apart, stepping around his eggshells. I basically took her place as the caretaker for him. And I basically learned how to be a wife for Jim. I learned it through, she told me this, like, it made sense to me, like, and it's something I knew, but it was in a different perspective, right? So by catering to my father, placating, pleasing him, walking around his eggshells, and being sympathetic to his pain that mom left, and watching his sorrow and his everything, it made me empathetic, where when my dad would do that to her, she felt manipulated. I never did with my dad, right? Somebody's at my door, and I'm wondering if it's for me.
You can go check.
I am the adult in the house right now, so let me. Usually,
No, go ahead, no worries.
Usually Jim jumps up and checks, and that's my habit. Hold on one second. Who's here? Oh, okay. Did you take out trash and recycle?
Yeah.
Make sure the dogs have water and food, please.
Okay.
Thank you. It's just my daughter's friend. Anyways, I thought it was interesting that my mom said that my dad trained me to be the wife for Jim, to be empathetic instead of noticing manipulation.
Yeah, and you and I remember we talked about that a little bit. Remember I had asked you at one point if you felt like your relationship with your dad kind of was a precursor to, because remember you had that, your mom left, you were there, you took on the role as the mother.
Right.
Well, then you got involved in a relationship and it went totally the other direction.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to do this anymore, and you became the controller, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And then when you met Jim, it went back to the motherly role.
because I saw my dad in him, and I said it from the very beginning before I even married him. I could see my dad in him because I heard his plight and about his marriage falling apart. I heard how she left. I heard how the boys bonded about her leaving. I heard that, you know, his pain. Like, it was all too similar, and so I empathized with it. And my mom said that when my dad would pull his boohooing things, and she was taught by her parents, stop crying, suck it up, you know, stop trying to get me to fall for that, you know. So she was taught from an early age that you don't cry to get what you want. You don't pretend that you're really hurt by somebody else's choices and stuff, and do this guilt trip thing. That wasn't something she grew up with. So when anybody had feelings towards my mom, she was really cold and stoic. Even the other night when I'm at her house boohooing about Jim, she turns to me and she says, Crystal, stop talking about it. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. I think I told you about that, right? And it really made me upset, because how many years has she been complaining about these 5 husbands that she's been with and left? And it's like, I'm in the middle of my separation and I can't boo-hoo about it right now, and you're going to talk about it 35 years later after you leave my dad? No. You know,
yeah, and you need to be able to do that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that is part of the process. And those feelings are very, very valid. And you know that.
Right.
You know they're valid.
I think it just really helped me understand why she's always been really good at standing up for herself from the get-go, is because she never learned the empathy part. She never, partly because she's part narcissistic in her own right, but you know, she's
able to cut the emotion off and just be like, I'm done.
Yep. You're not giving me the supply that I need. You're not paying all your attention to me. You're not making it about me. Now you're trying to...
And you know, and you look at that personality type, and there's pros and cons to it, right? The pro is there's a lot of power in being able to do that. You don't care. Remember, I told you before, there's a lot of power in not caring. You know, but the downside to it is the lack of empathy can cause all sorts of issues relationally, which it sounds like it has.
Right. She doesn't have these bonds with her children like she would like. Her kids all know that you go talk to mom, you're going to talk about mom. Even if you bring up, oh, mom, look at this awesome thing that I did, she's going to be like, oh, only my kids are so great because I'm so great. And that's just, when she's in a great mood, she is really good at lifting herself up, even when someone's talking about their own accomplishments. And then when she's in a really bad mood, she goes to covert and she goes really, oh, poor me, there's nothing I can do right. Really? You think I do good? Oh, really? Oh, you know, she's so much that type. The only thing that I'm really grateful for is that she doesn't drain people. She doesn't like demand things from others. She'll do it in a little sneaky way, in a way, like, she gave me some money to pay for the down with the lease and the movers, and she's helping me out. She went and bought pizza, and right when I was about, you know, she could see the stress on my face and everything, and I'm stressing about April 1st rent already, even though I haven't even got in there yet. And she looks at me and she says, Crystal, I know I'm giving you a lot of money and I know you're stressing about that, so I just want to let you say happy birthday, you don't have to pay me back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, I bawled my eyes out. It was never my intention to take it from her. I always wanted to pay it back because it doesn't feel good to take money from my mom. It feels like I'm going from depending on Jim to depending on my mom, right? And I wanted to do it on my own.
It's different though, Crystal, because you need support in your life. That's healthy to have that.
Yeah, so I'm really grateful, and I just bawled my eyes out to her and told her thank you. And then about an hour later, she's like, okay, one stipulation on the money. And I'm like, of course, here we go. She's like, I really need help with this internet thing. Can you please set some time out aside and make sure you help me with that, because you're better at that stuff than me. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I can help you with that. That's not a problem, you know.
Yeah.
It's just funny that she'll pull things later as like that, but it's funny.
Yeah. I I'm excited for you. I know it's going to be, it's going to be a rough kind of path, but it's going to be a different kind of stress.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole new stress, like a whole new world. I'm not even sure what that's going to look like, but
just let it motivate you.
Yeah.
Let it keep you motivated and keep you disciplined. And I really want you to start working on the standard thing, though.
Okay. I like that.
And just, like with your standards, like what are you willing to settle for? What are you not willing to settle for? Not just in a relationship, but friendships.
Mm-hmm.
In every area of life, what are you willing to settle for? It's like what we were talking about before a long time ago. Like when you go to apply for a job, they're like, what did you make at your last job? Right?
Yeah.
And you say, oh, well, I made $15 an hour. They immediately know that's your standard. That's what you'll settle for. And that's what they're going to pay you.
Right.
Right. So people tend to meet you at where your standards are. Very, very rarely do they exceed what your standards are for yourself. Right.
Right.
It's like I don't know if I mentioned I think I did. Like if I were to borrow your car, and your car was a piece of crap, and you didn't take care of it, and you didn't keep it clean, I immediately know I don't have to take care of this car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, but if your car is nice and clean and you take care of it, my first thought is going to be, wow, I better return this car in the exact same condition that I got it from her. Like people meet your standards.
Naturally, subconsciously, they don't even mean to.
Yes.
Like the lady I hired today to help me clean up the house because I was hurting so bad. My leg hurts, my back hurts, and I'm like, these floors really need a really good mopping, and I don't want to leave the house worse than how I left it. How you understand. And
sure.
She did the bathroom for me. But because the rest of the house is pretty bad, like hoarder bad almost, I would say. Like it's on.
Yeah.
Well, no, not even that. Before that, I have really let the house go to the point where the dining room's got its own pile started. Like it's growing and it's coming out to the hallways and it's really bad. And for years, every time it would start to get bad, Jim would start to get after me and I'd get motivated to clean it up for him and all this stuff. But this last several months with my knee hurting, I don't give a crap about that dining room. And I shouldn't be the only one doing anything because it's not just my stuff, right?
Right.
So anyways, people always come in and they see that darn dining room as the start of a hoarder's show.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. They start with the standards thing. And this lady, I asked her to do my bathrooms and she did a real good wipe down everywhere, but she didn't wash the mirrors. And Jim wrote on the mirrors, because there's a thing above that says you are loved. And then he wrote on the mirror before I came back home, but not wanted. And he keeps writing not wanted on all these different spaces. And I'm like, I don't want that to be here when he comes home, when she didn't even clean it. So like these little things that she didn't do is because she was meeting me at my standard that she could see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the same thing, with your own personal life standards. People will very rarely exceed those standards. So the higher standards you have for yourself, the better that you're going to be treated by people, because they know you're going to demand that from them, right?
On the 25th of February, I woke up with a eureka moment. I don't know exactly how I got to it, but basically the idea is exactly what you're saying, is we need to operate Crystal like a company. We need to have a mission statement. We need to have a set of guidelines. We need to have our interviews when we meet people and our check boxes on what sort of standards we want for our people that we're going to associate with and people that are going to represent the face of Crystal. If Crystal's going to interact with this person, are they going to be honest and whatnot? I have a friend who I've thought many times inviting her to come room with me, and I'd share rent with her, right? But she doesn't even have a job. Already, boom, how are you going to pay for rent? I don't want you as a roommate, you know what I mean? So that's a standard right there. So I get it. I think it's really great because that really goes in line with the company motto idea analogy I had.
We attract like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have high standards,
Mm-hmm.
you will attract other people that have high standards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have low standards, I mean, we see it. You see that in every high school in America. You know, people group together based on, you know, who they are, what music they listen to, how they dress, and they become these little cliques of people because we attract like-minded people. And so, the higher your standards are, the more valuable you believe you are, the more, you know, you're not willing to put up with disrespect and mistreatment from others, the more you're going to draw people that will treat you like you deserve to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's just kind of like a law of nature in a way.
And that's kind of where I settled on with this stranger friend thing that keeps popping back up in my brain is they may have this standard that they're working off of that I just don't quite think is right. You know, this expectations, the demands, they're trying to control what this looks like in our friendship, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? That's just where they're at. And you know what? If that's what that's whatever floats their boat. But I don't have to participate. That's not what I'm about. I'm about unconditional love, but respect. So if you're...
Yeah, I mean, when you told me about those friends, the first thing I thought, honestly, is they're doing the same thing to you that Jim did to you.
That's exactly what one of my...
Not leaving him, but they're treating you the same way that he did.
Right. Exactly. And another friend said that.
It's just interesting to me. You know, you don't need that in your life. You don't need that kind of control in your life. Right? Not right now, especially.
Right. Especially when my husband saw it too. He was like, Crystal, you realize you're trading one addiction for another. You know, you're trying to please me. Now it sounds like you're trying to please your friends. And I said, yeah, but I think this is healthier. You know, I was like hesitant to say that because I did feel that tug, like I wasn't pleasing them well enough. And I had one of them who really wasn't a part of their shenanigans. And she said that. She says, it just sounds like to me that they're demanding things from you, just like Jim's demanding things from you. And no wonder why you're feeling split. Like you want to keep your friends, but you also want to keep your marriage, and you're not really sure if you can do both, especially when they have this high standard of what you should or shouldn't do. So it's like, it's not their life. It's not their finances. They're not letting me sleep on their couch. And I've only known them for like 2 months. So
yeah, and you don't need people that are... You don't need to have to live up to someone else's expectations. All you need to do, this is where the standards come in again, is you live up to your own expectations of yourself, right? And here's the thing, if you don't have any expectations of yourself, or low expectations of yourself, people know that, and people will try to put their expectations on you because you don't have any expectations. But the higher your expectations are of yourself, people will see that, and people will not expect you to fall into line with what they want you to do. They'll understand that you're not going to do that.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like I have a lot of adolescent clients that they don't try in school, they don't care, they don't follow the rules, and their complaint is my parents are always trying to say, you need to do this, you need to do this. Their expectations are way too high. And my answer to that is the reason their expectations are high is because they know you have no expectations. And so they feel this pressure to step in and raise you up to the level they think you should be at. If you had your own expectations,
Mm-hmm.
they would know that and they would leave you alone.
That makes
And
sense on the way I parent my kids, because when they're going through their online schooling and I'm going through my crap, I just look at them and I go, you really want to be the kid that fails and has to be held back and all your friends go ahead and you don't?
right,
Go ahead. I don't have time to babysit you, but I'm just letting you know that's what's going forward. So you either come up with some expectations that you want for yourself and what you want for your future, or go get help from your teachers if you think you need it. If you don't think you need it, you think you can do it without, go for it. But I can't babysit you. And that was
right.
only an accident because that I didn't hover and be in helicopter mom. I just was out of it, you know?
Yeah, and I have kids that are, I have kind of the dichotomy. Like, I have one that has no expectations of himself. He could care less about school, and he's always behind.
Right.
But then I have another one that's got very high expectations, and he's always caught up on his homework. I don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think that I come in and I'm trying to create his expectations for him? Is the one that has none. The other one, I don't have any expectations because I don't need to.
Right.
He's got his own.
And if you can explain it to that one that's not trying, they would probably go, you mean you'd get off my back if I had my own list of goals?
Yeah, and it's true, and that's what I tell these kids is I'm like, look, if you show your parents, come up with your own goals, your own priorities, your own values, and show your parents that you have those things, and they will leave you alone.
Do your kids go, Dad, don't therapy me?
Yeah, my wife does. My wife says that all the time.
Oh, I bet that must be annoying.
Yeah, but I'm pretty good about not doing that.
Yeah.
She does. She has said that before.
My husband's been so angry that I know so much, and I don't even want to brag about it like that. I think I use my words to try to improve my experiences, and the thing I basically have settled on is that if I didn't have confidence in something, I would have confidence in nothing. So I went searching for what I felt confident in, and I did feel confident at describing what I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you are, I know you don't want to brag about it, but you are extremely knowledgeable when it comes to therapy and psychology and all of that stuff.
Thank you.
I've joked, because we staff with other therapists sometimes about our clients, and I always, we don't talk about personal details, but we'll just, talk about maybe advice or, hey, how would you move forward with this situation? I always preface it with, she knows more about therapy than I do. So you know what I'm saying? But to me, that's one of your huge strengths.
Thank you.
And it shows me how motivated you are. And it's just refreshing for me because most clients are not motivated at all.
Right. They're being told to go.
Yeah, they're either being told to go or they're just going through the motions. Like what, we were talking about Jim possibly does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that, but, just going through the motions or just wanting someone to talk to, but not really wanting to apply anything.
Well, I know that I was in so far deep despair that I was motivated to get out of the despair, but I didn't know that going into therapy meant that I got to fix it. I thought somebody else was going to fix it for me.
Yeah, and that's the misconception.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of people do feel like that it'll be fixed for them, but it's you having to take the control back yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And therapy is just giving you the skills to do that.
Mm-hmm. So have you talked in your staff meetings? How do I help her with this next step or something?
No, mainly what it is more like case conceptualization. Like, and we usually don't even mention names. We're just like, hey, I have a client who is dealing with this, this, and this? Do you think that this could be, maybe from, did she miss a stage of development? Did she struggle in this? And they'll just give advice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different for every client.
Right.
It's not like, what should I tell her? Or what should I say? It's nothing like that. It's just kind of like helping put the puzzle together a little bit sometimes. So.
Yeah, I'm really highly considering going to school that as my next step once I get settled, and
I think that's a great idea.
I don't know what that looks like. Did I tell you I applied for a position at work?
No.
They have a senior position, so the same thing I'm doing, but a senior position of it where I get paid more. And they've been working on this position for over a year, because I remember them talking about it before COVID started. And my supervisor says, Crystal, we're going to be creating a position soon that basically is exactly the same thing that you're already doing. You're just not getting paid for it. And I'm all, you mean you're making me a position? She goes, no, it has to be open to everybody. And I'm like, okay. She says, but we really want you to apply.
Yeah.
So I applied for it, and if I get it, then I'll basically be doing the same things that I'm already doing. I already train, I already create training materials, I'm already going above and beyond and doing these extra little things because I like researching and stuff. And if I can get the clout and the pay for it, that's great.
That would be awesome.
Plus, I had an aha moment the other day when I was stressing about money, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Matthew's braces are being paid off with my Flex card, and my Flex changes over every July. And so I'm going to get like $400 back every paycheck. I think it's a paycheck. Maybe not. Maybe it's $400 a month. But either way, it's going to be a good chunk of money coming back in July. So I'm figuring it out.
I have another session.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
So I'll see you on Monday then.
Yeah, I'll see you Monday. Sorry, I'm not looking at the time.
Oh, it's okay. But it's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yes, thank you.
We'll talk soon. Reach out if you need anything, all right?
I will. Thanks, and thanks for having this one for today.
No problem.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was my therapy session. I don't know if I'm going to share this with anybody. Probably not. These are probably just for me. Talk to you later. Bye.